Happy New Year 2015 from Embarcadero Technologies. I'm David I, and this is the inaugural episode 1 of the Embarcadero Community Podcast. Each Monday, I'll create a video that'll go over Embarcadero highlights, news, blogs, articles, things that are happening in the world of technology that affects developers. We'll go through questions that have come up on the community site and look at example source code, and from time to time, we'll also have guests joining me on this community podcast. So let's get started. First, with some of the recent news. In December, Embarcadero Technologies was named for first place in the mobile application development category. Hosted annually by the mobilevillage.com. These Mobile Star Awards were launched in 2001, and it's great that they've recognized Red Studio with its multi-device support. We've had lots of support from our technology partners for XE7, with links to all of the great technology partners that are supporting us with Delphi, C++ Builder, and Red Studio XE7. Thank you, partners. We also announced that we're partnering with Radius Networks. Radius Networks manufactures beacons and other proximity devices, and we're going to work closely together with Radius Networks and our technologies to make sure that you can build beacon-based and proximity-based applications across multiple devices using Rad Studio. Just want to remind everybody that we have a new quality portal. It's at quality.embarcadero.com. It's based on the Jira issue and project tracking system that we use inside in our R&D teams. So you can log in with your existing Embarcadero Developer Network membership account and post feature requests and problem reports and check the status of those reports. We still have our legacy Quality Central system, qc.embarcadero.com, but there's a note at the top of QC's landing page to remind you to start using the new quality portal. That's the system we're using going forward. A couple more items worth noting. If you're building backend as a service systems, or you're thinking about building backend as a service applications, we have a white paper that you can download with the 5 essential BaaS features every mobile app needs. So check that out. This week also is the Consumer Electronics Show 2015, happening in Las Vegas, Nevada. There's lots of news that'll be coming out. I'll be blogging during the week about some of the new announcements. NVIDIA unveiled a Tegra X1 Superchip. There's lots of buzz going on at CES about drones, connected cars, wearables, and smart homes. All of this, you can use our products and the technology support for Wi-Fi, for network, and Bluetooth Classic and Bluetooth LE to connect to a wide range of devices. The FDA has approved more digital health devices, 31 FDA clearances in 2014, and more to come. So again, we'll be focusing a lot in 2015 about how to build applications that connect to mobile health devices and the technologies. TechCrunch put an article up over the holidays about the future of wearable technology, at least for now, they say, in the enterprise, using all sorts of technologies in manufacturing, in healthcare, and elsewhere. I thought this was an interesting article in Fast Company, 8 Things Technology Wants to Kill Next. The list includes keys and locks. We've got some articles. Brian Alexakis did a blog about home automation connecting to the Kwikset door lock. Wallets with Apple Pay and other wallet solutions coming out. With music streaming, wired headphones and earbuds might be a thing of the past. Uber, Lyft, and others, the taxi regulations, using your mobile app to find a way to get from one place to another, maybe after a party that you were at, maybe used one of these systems. With streaming music all over the internet, music downloads may become extinct. It'll be interesting to watch there. What's going to happen with Windows Phone in 2015? Everybody's watching. And of course, using the watch phrase, analog watches at CES, Apple Watch coming out sometime in early 2015. It'll be interesting to watch there as well. We've got some upcoming events. DB Power Studio Best Practices Demo on January 7th. That's on Wednesday at 11 a.m. So you can register for that event. And then on January 8th, Top 10 reasons to switch to ER Studio for data modeling. If you're using some other data modeling tool, check that out Also on January 13th, next week, if you're using SQL and you want to understand how to better tune your SQL statements, there's a webinar on Tuesday, January 13th at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Find It, Fix It, Real World SQL Tuning Cases with Karen Morton. On-demand videos that we have available. The Embarcadero Interbase XZ7 First Look webinar replay is up on YouTube. You can take a look at that. Also, the replay of Marco Cantu's 3-hour training on the Object Pascal programming language titled The Ins and Outs of Delphi's Object Pascal. So you can check that out and learn more about cool things you can do in the Object Pascal language. We also have completed the third round of developer skill sprints. These are these short tips, tricks, and techniques webinars and videos. We've got the landing page here for the skill sprints and the replays available going back to May of last year. We'll be starting up the fourth round of skill sprints the week of January 19th on Tuesday, January 20th. So stay tuned to the skill sprints landing page for information about the developer skill sprints. Also, there's a landing page for all the previous skill sprints on YouTube. The URL is up there on the screen, and you can go back all the way again to the beginning. So take a look at those, find the topics that will help you speed up your development in specific technology areas or learn some new skills that you can use immediately. We've got special offers this quarter between January 1st and March 31st. So if you upgrade to Rad Studio XZ7, Delphi XZ7, CBuilder XZ7, or purchase new licenses, we've got the Object Pascal Handbook by Marco Cantu, Premium Styles, Media Converter Basics. So check out the RAD offer page on our Embarcadero.com website. Now, there's lots of blog posts and articles happening on the new Community 3.0 site. This is a blog post on data governance trends, so you can take a look at the landing page for blogs and see blog posts across database tools and developer tools. This is the home page. We also have articles that are on the old blogs.embarcadero.com site and the new community blog site. We have a cron job that runs that copies from the new community site to the old site. Serena recently did an article working with Fire UI in Rad Studio XZ7, frequently asked questions. So it's a great quick read to see capabilities of Fire UI in this question answer mode that might help you in your development. Also, Serena did a post about exploring Internet of Things gadgets for connected enterprise, connected home, for example. So check out that on the App Method blog. It's also linked off the Community 3.0 blog. Great blog post here by Anil, data modeling for agile environments. So if you're using Agile in your code and you also want to do data modeling in an agile environment, check out the information in Anil's blog post. And again, here's that building multi-device applications with Fire UI frequently asked questions on the community site. If you're interested or you're involved in data modeling, there's a great article by Anil on logical and physical data modeling. So he takes you through the physical model and then using ER Studio to take a look at the logical models. Serena has a great tutorial on defining custom user sign-in properties in your BaaS-enabled apps with sample code that's available, so check out that in the tutorials area on Embarcadero community site. Another article, 2 ways to identify that you have a bad plan in your SQL Server database. So Tamarin goes through what's a poor plan and what to do about it in a great article on the community site. Now we have an answers area. It's where you can post your questions, and members of the community and members of the Embarcadero team will answer your questions and give you tips and tricks for taking care of those things. And I wanted to highlight 3 of those that came up recently. One was a question about app method and multi-device development with FireDAC. Bastian asked, he's starting to create Android apps using app method. Can he use EMS and FireDAC drivers to access Firebird database in a Firebird server instead of Interbase? He had read about, there was some phrase in the app method documentation about only Interbase and SQLite drivers are supported on mobile platforms. And while it's true if your database needs to run on the mobile platform, we support Direct Connect to Interbase IB Lite or Interbase to Go and SQLite databases on the mobile platform itself. But you can use EMS our enterprise mobility services and REST and JSON with FireDAC to connect to remote databases, remote SQL databases on different platforms by going from the mobile platform to the Windows platform, and then from there through the client driver libraries to whatever database, whether it's Interbase, Firebird, SQL Server, Oracle, MySQL, and so on, all the databases supported by FireDAC. A few notes there. You can go and check out my response and links to the enterprise mobility services, Code Rage 9 replays for the Object Pascal and C++ track. A second question, which I needed some help from our R&D team, was from Hebron. He asked why all of the dialogues, the input dialogue and the message dialogue and so on, had the old Android style. How can he make sure that his Android apps are using the new KitKat style for his dialogues? After talking with our engineering team, turns out that there was some missing code in the FMX helpers.android.pass unit. The original code inside of the method getNativeTheme, and there's two different methods, getNativeTheme and an overloaded getNativeTheme method. We were getting the theme from the descriptor, but we weren't returning it in the result from the function call. So I've made that change in my own version of the source code for FMX Helpers Android. And then Apostolos mentioned there was this other overloaded version of getNativeTheme. So I've updated my blog post that I did with the answer for both of those. And the blog post just says, yep, found a problem in the FMX Helpers Android.pass unit. You can go into the source code yourself if you have the professional, enterprise, and above version, not the trial or the starter, and you can modify the source line to put result : equals and then the rest of the code from the original line of code, both in the getNativeTheme and the getNativeTheme that is overloaded for a control. So what I did was I went into the IDE and I created a dialog test project with a button and a style book, and I added the FMX helpers.android.pass file to my source code, and then I went down and modified the source code for getNativeTheme and getNativeTheme, the overloaded version, and returned the result from that getTheme from descriptor in both of those methods. My code behind just puts out a message dialog, an anonymous method to just handle if I click the yes or no. So we'll do a build and we'll deploy this little test dialog application over to my Android phone. And over here on my VNC viewer, you're seeing my Samsung Galaxy S4. I'll tap the button and now I have the new KitKat style dialog. Do you want to press yes or no? I'll just press one of them and come back. So making those two lines of code changes in your FMX helpers Android.pass unit in the runtime library source code, adding that to your project so it gets compiled in with the changes. And then there was a third question I wanted to highlight. Bastian posted he had just installed EMS Server for development with his XE7 and he was getting an error, and I pointed him to the doc wiki where it has some information about how to configure your EMS server for first use. And there's two sections in the doc wiki in particular. One is configuring the environment for the first time. There's notes there. And then the second thing is there's an EMS dev server setup wizard that you can run that will set up all the right user database and user accounts for you to start doing your testing. So check that out in the documentation. If you're getting started with EMS and doing some development and testing with your EMS Server comes with 5 user licenses for doing development and testing, and then contact our sales offices to get additional licenses for deployment, and that they'll deliver you also the ISAPI DLL version of the EMS Server so you can get even higher scalability and performance. That's it for this podcast about what's happening inside of the Embarcadero community for development and database tools. I'll put all of these links up on my blog. Just go to my blogs, David Isip from the Firehose, and you'll see that along with the link to this podcast appearing on the community site today. Again, Happy New Year, and check back every Monday for a new episode of the Embarcadero Community Podcast. Take care, everyone.